Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. Talk about scams in Bitcoin all the time. Well, not so much scams, but security breaches and hacks. And are they a feature or a problem in the system? In my opinion, obviously they're a problem in the system, but some people say it's a feature in the system. It gives people an opportunity, or I don't understand what they say when they say like it gives people opportunity to really come into the financial world. I guess like what they mean when I hear that, I'm just like, yeah, it gives bank robbers a chance to amass money. That's not a really a good thing. I mean, the decentralized aspect of it makes it so when they actually do a breach, it's very, very hard to get the money back. And so like I think like some people have said that's the way the money will actually spread out. But I'm like, that's a really crappy way. That's just like saying, you know what, I'm gonna transport my millions of dollars between banks in a Toyota Prius, and hopefully no one holds me up and takes my money. And then if they take my money, I have really no way of tracking it down. And that somehow is supposed to be a feature. Not really sure how that works. I mean, think about it. If there was a bank that had a lot of money and they transported that money in a Toyota Prius from bank to bank without security details, would you actually trust that bank? Because like the decentralized nature of Bitcoin, especially Bitcoin, because there is always a chance that someone could actually, from proof of work, actually take over 51% of the hash power and double spend and stuff. There's always that opportunity. So there's always a breach, and the various exchanges and stuff that have actually gotten hacked are severe security loopholes, and plus all the scams online and stuff. I know the industry is kind of new, but honestly, to me, it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of regulation that's actually coming down. The enforcement on these things really seems to be lacking. It's been a couple of years, and they really aren't that enforced. And it really doesn't seem to me like the community is really that gung ho about getting enforcement and really law enforcement on this stuff. They seem to be taking a leave it alone and let it happen type of stance. And if that actually is the stance they take, I don't think it'll ever really go mainstream because, like I said, people want security in their money. They don't really want, like, for instance, DeFi. One of the reasons I don't think it's going to be ready to go mainstream anytime soon is because there's so many security breaches and hacks, and there's no regulations or like set of specifications that each project actually has to have. No one really wants to borrow money or loan money to a system that could basically just blow up tomorrow, which is really what DeFi is right now. And the same thing for like a lot like Bitcoin and crypto altogether and the exchanges. They're very, very hesitant to accept regulations because regulations are evil or whatnot to a lot of crypto idealist crypto people, and they don't want anything to do with it. But without it, I mean, you're leaving yourself open to so many attack vectors. Like like the Chinese government, for example, could actually just take over the hash rate because 65% of the hash power is in China. Now, will they do it? I don't so anytime soon, but they could actually do it, and there's really nothing that you can do when they actually do it. The same thing with all these like exchange security hacks. Like, yeah, I mean, there has been some movement to get more security on the exchanges, but I get a feeling that some of the community want these like little errors and what they call features actually into these things so more people can take inclusive capability. And I think some of it has to do with that, like crypto was started and still maintained by a bunch of geeks, and geeks like all this hacking stuff, like whose security or anti-security is better. But to be a real world financial system, you can't really have these flaws. And yes, they are flaws; they aren't features. If your if exchanges keep getting hacked, and there's several entryways into the system, and people keep playing with this stuff, it's definitely a fault of the system. It's not a feature. And no one, like a serious financial community and a serious financial system can't really be built around it. And that's one of the things that I think is very, very hard for crypto to actually get around because of the whole nature of the way the project started. Like it started with like anti-bank, anti-regulation, um, and kind of like started with a bunch of geeky, basically geeky elites. Not they weren't really elites, but like geeky people that really like the computer and technical side of stuff. And that's kind of like what the core of the community still is. And that's kind of a problem for evolving forward if it ever really wants to evolve into mainstream and people keep on taking it seriously. Because like people want security, they want reliability. And right now, from the scams and stuff I see coming from it, it doesn't really have that. Now, yes, like in terms of dollars, like there are like banking frauds and stuff, But generally, those things happen once every couple of months or once every few years. Whereas, like in crypto, I see it happen once every couple of weeks, even once in a few days, especially in DeFi. But even in other cryptos, like ICO still go scam, and there's like very little regulation about it. Exchange hacks happen like once in a while, much more often than bank heists or bank robberies. And people don't really seem to be into fixing these problems. I think the whole attitude of the market actually needs to change. And I do think there needs to be rules actually implemented and security checkpoints actually installed so people don't keep losing their money. I think you do have to find a compromise between complete utter chaos and freedom in Wild West and kind of like the traditional banking system. And I think like that should ultimately be crypto's goal, to actually have that kind of a system where it's definitely more free and open, but it's not like Wild West where people can hold up all the time, because that's really never going to be mainstream, because people don't want to lose their money just like that through no fault of their own, but through some kind of hack or security leak, which we actually see happen more often in crypto than in the traditional system. Yes, people talk, like I said, people talk about Visa, MasterCard, and those like identity thefts all the time, but those leaks happen maybe like once every year, once every 2 years. Whereas like crypto leaks and crypto hacks I see happen every couple of weeks at the most, if not once a week, once every 2 weeks, especially with the inclusion of DeFi. So the thing is, I think the hardcore crypto enthusiasts, they do need to kind of like change their mindset to actually address some of these security problems, some of these hacks, and realize that there actually needs to be a compromise for this stuff to actually go mainstream. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.